What's going on YouTube? So of course the three-row midsize SUV market is extremely competitive, and one of the best-selling in the US is this Toyota Grand Highlander. Now on our channel we've looked at many versions of the Grand Highlander, but most of them have been focused at the top end levels of this model. But today we wanted to take a look at something at more of a middle price point. So this is the XLE, setting at about $50,000, which again represents kind of the middle price point for this vehicle. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what you get for that price. Alright, so let's jump right in with the exterior design. So with the XLE, you're going to get a little bit more of the conventional side of things. Of course, Toyota offers several models that have a little bit of a sportier fascia, but this will keep with a more traditional look, including more chrome elements, like up here at the top that kind of goes across and then underneath of the headlights. Regardless though, you'll get that gloss black finish for your large lower grille. Now, as far as the headlights, you have premium projector LED headlights. That's going to be standard on all the Grand Highlanders, but we have the less premium headlight unit. So we've got an incandescent turn signal for this trim, and you also don't have the daytime running light because, as you can see, this is actually just a chrome strip that looks like a daytime running light. Instead, they'll just run the headlights all the time. Down below, you also have an area where some models will get fog lights, but this one does not have them. Now moving on to the wheels, this is one of the biggest indicators you did not spend the big bucks for this model, because you can see that we have a relatively small silver alloy. This is an 18-inch silver alloy. It comes on the LE and the XLE trim. If you want 20-inch alloys with darkened finishes, you've got to get other trim levels besides for this. And of course, if you're subscribed to our channel, you know that we recently purchased a Kia Telluride, also at about $50,000 price point, and it has 21-inch gloss black alloy, so it's certainly a big difference between those two models I'm noticing. Now, as far as our technology with our mirrors, you have standard blind spot monitoring and heating on this XLE, but if you want power folding, you need to choose the limited trim at least.
Now, at the side of the Grand Highlander, one of the things that doesn't change depending on the trim level is, of course, the size. This is one of the largest midsize three rows that money can buy, so it's coming in at around 201.4 inches, so it is very big when it comes to space inside the vehicle. We'll talk about that in just a second. Now, as far as design, I do want to point out this model will get you the matte black wheel surround, so that does look a little bit on the cheaper side, but we have chrome on our window surrounds as well as the chrome roof rail up here at the very top. I also really love this blue color that we have on this example, and let's go ahead and head around to the rear for the Grand Highlander. Now, here on the XLE version, we pretty much have the same design as any other Grand Highlander. It's not going to have some of the black elements like the nightshade that you're looking at right now on my right hand side has, but overall it does have a pretty premium look to it. So we have a spoiler up here at the top, we have a rear window wiper. Through the center section, we have Grand Highlander branding, and then we also have the LED taillights. So those are actually going to be standard equipment on every single model. That includes your brake light, your turn signal, and reverse light. Then dropping down to the lower fascia, all of this is going to be finished in a matte black plastic. As far as the tow capacity, it can be up to 5,000 pounds. However, this hybrid model is rated at 3,500. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, Toyota gives you all of your active safety features as standard equipment on every single version. That being said, you do have to go to the platinum grade to get the traffic jam assist, which of course will be missing from this one. But there's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to the interior and what you're going to get in there for the XLE. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
no matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, let's move to the inside next. You get a standard smart entry system and digital key on the XLE. Let me open that up there and get that headlight and chime off. We'll take a look at the inside of this XLE. So one of the things that you might want to upgrade to the XLE over the LE, the base model, is because the seats. So you get a Softex leatherette on this model, upgrading over the standard cloth seat. And as you can see, nice look to these. We just have the gray finish here with the perforation down the center and some stitching details. They're very comfortable overall. You also get a power adjusting seat with two-way lumbar support, but you won't get any memory functions until you go up the trim structure a little bit more. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that we're inside, we can look around at the rest of the cabin materials as well. Over here on the armrest, we have a leatherette with stitching details. A little bit more right through there. It will be a hard touch plastic through the center and then a soft touch plastic up there. And then you have this kind of painted silver trim through the middle of the door trim. At the top part of the dashboard, this will be a hard touch plastic. Soft touch through all of this section though. A little bit more of the silver trim through there. And then along our console, this actually looks like leather, but it's actually just dyed to match the armrest, but it's not padded on this trim level. Now your push button start is located right there. Obviously we're inside here, but we'll see if we can get some of the electronics to go ahead and fire up. Alright, so I got some of the stuff booted up here. Let's take a quick look with this model. Of course, various things are like unhooked because it is here at an auto show, so don't pay any attention to those warnings on the screen there. I just wanted to show you what it would look like overall. As you can see, it doesn't come with the full digital cluster on this version. This gets a little bit of the lower end 7-inch display. You can still reconfigure though many of those elements. The highest end examples will also come with the head-up display, and as we take a look at the steering wheel, nice leatherette wrap steering wheel with stitching details. It's manual, tilt, and telescoping. Now one of the things that this vehicle really wins at is interior storage. Super impressive. That obviously doesn't change between the trim levels, so sliding that back, this center console is just absolutely enormous. Easily it fits all 24 donuts, which is the maximum donuts that we have on hand with us. And then in front of that, you have a couple cup holders, more storage through there, even more storage right there with one side being a wireless phone charging pad. And then you have the passenger storage shelf across the front. As far as the shifter, it's just a conventional style shifter on this trim. You pull back for drive, bump to the left for some manual shift simulation. And when you go into reverse, you're going to get a standard backup camera on this trim level. Of course, 360 cameras are offered as you go up the trim structure. Moving to the center section, we have automatic climate on board. Still 3-zone automatic with this trim level as well, and you can adjust the back climate from the front, all with the physical buttons. XLE does also include heated seats, which I know is a big deal for a lot of people, especially if you live in a colder climate. Now, I'm not sure exactly why, but we have the volume knob removed on this vehicle. Nevertheless, this would be the lower end sound system. It has 6 speakers. The JBL sound system's available starting at the limited trim level. One nice standard feature is our 12.3-inch display here. That's a decent size for this segment of vehicle, and it does have Toyota's newest infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Rising up top here, auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And then you're looking at the available panoramic sunroof, which is one of the options our tester has for its a little bit above $50,000 price tag.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the rear seat area for the Grand Highlander. Now, of course, the XLE doesn't change when it comes to practicality. It's the same as all the other versions, which is a great thing because there's a lot of space. So we're sitting at 39.5 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom, so those are definitely good numbers. And as you might be able to notice, I don't have enough time with me to get the ruler out and things like that. We do have plenty of Grand Highlander reviews on the channel if you'd like to check that out. We are here at an auto show with a limited time frame with this vehicle. Now, as far as the seats, though, they can slide forward and back, so that's a feature that you can do on this. You just grab that little lever right there. That's going to allow you to slide it all the way to touch the front seat, and you can also recline a good distance as well. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing is the fact that we have 8 passenger seating, so that's an option here on the XLE. It actually does come standard with captain's chairs, but you can option on the bench seat to really maximize your seating capacity. If we fold down the center armrest, you have 2 cup holders inside, and quite frankly, these back seats are quite comfortable. Now let's talk about features. So we have our own temperature adjustment back here for the 3-zone setup. We have 2 USB ports, and we have a household style outlet. You do have to get at least the limited grade to get heated back seats, and then you can furthermore even get ventilated back seats on the fully loaded ones. Now over on the door trim, we do have rear window sunshade, so that's a pretty family-friendly feature. The door trim itself is going to be pretty cheap in terms of materials with hard touch all through there. However, we have leatherette in the armrest portion, a little bit of storage, and a ton of storage down in the very bottom. Let's check out the third row quickly. In order to get back here, it is pretty simple. All you have to do is grab this little lever right here, and that's going to allow the seat to slide out of the way. And I do want to point out, though, that the seat back does move, so certain car seats, it might not be a great setup for. Now, let's go ahead and climb back into the third row of the Grand Highlander. Now, when it comes to this has always had a really nice third row. That will continue this year. So we're sitting at about 33.5 inches of legroom, about 37 inches of headroom. So one of the largest third rows that you can get in this class. And overall, it is pretty comfortable. Excuse me. Now, one of the things I am noticing is that the thigh support is leaving a little bit to be desired. There are some in the segment that include a slightly better third row, but of course these seats can recline a little bit more to increase your comfort overall if you just use that lever right there. Now, as far as features, we have a hard touch armrest portion. We have several cup holders back here and vents coming out of the ceiling. And of course, there are 3 seats back here. Overall, I wish they had maybe included a little bit more padding. There's not a lot of give to these third row seats, at least on this trim level, but overall seating capacity is pretty good, and I'd say this is decently fit for adults. Now, one of the things that I like about the XLE Grand Highlander is the fact that you have a power tailgate, and let's go ahead and see overall cargo capacity. So looking at those numbers, we're sitting at about 20 cubic feet of space behind the third row, 58 cubic feet if you fold the third row down, and a maximum of 97.5 cubic feet. Those are very good space figures for the segment. As a matter of fact, it's class leading. Now, if you're looking at other options in the segment besides the Grand Highlander, like things like the Kia Telluride, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the options in this 3-row midsize segment and ranked them in individual categories, things like cargo space, third row room, interior technology and luxury features, and even value, which of course is important if you're shopping at this price point. So you can see the best options in each of those categories and make an informed buying decision at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, when it comes to features on this model, we have a manual folding third row. It's not available power folding on any model, and in order to do that, you just have to use this little lever. It is kind of tricky to do. It's a little finicky to fold the third row up and down, so keep that in mind. And then that's going to give you your 57 cubic feet. You do have to go up to the second row to fold it down manually, and if you're interested in all the cargo length, width, and height figures, you can find that in other Grand Highlander reviews we've done on the channel. Underneath of the floor, there's a little bit of extra space, and going for the hybrid does not penalize you when it comes to cargo capacity at all.
Now let's talk about what is under the hood. So the XLE trim level specifically is available with 2 out of the 3 different powertrains in the Grand Highlander lineup. You can get a traditional all-gas option. It's a turbo 4-cylinder, 2.4 liters, 265 horsepower, or you can get the 4th generation hybrid system. That's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors making 243 horsepower. That's what this model has as equipped. Now, we just recently went on an extensive week-long journey with this powertrain, so we'll go ahead and insert some footage of our driving impressions from that model right now. All right, that was an acceleration to 60 miles per hour. So like we talked about at the spec dump at the beginning, this is the conventional hybrid model. And what we've spent the most time with all of our other Grand Highlander testing has been with either the turbo engine, which is the standard option, or the Hybrid Max, which is their top spec model. This falls in between and is going to give you the best overall efficiency. Now, in terms of the specifications, this is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine paired with your electric hybrid componentry. 243 horsepower is your overall power. 0 to 60 is just slightly under 8 seconds with this. So this is the slowest version, but it's not a big difference versus the 2.4 liter turbocharged model.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Drew said, we spent a lot of time with all of the Grand Highlander powertrains, and yes, this is the slowest one. However, after living with it this week, I will say it really didn't bother me that much whatsoever. I mean, a lot of the times you're not going around doing a full throttle acceleration in a family 3-row SUV like this, so it's definitely enough power to keep up with the flow of traffic. And of course, we'll talk about the fuel economy, but that's the big benefit when it comes to this standard hybrid powertrain is the exceptionally good fuel economy. Now, I'll go ahead and hit the other two powertrains just so you can be aware of those. So the turbo model is a 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 265 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60, 7.5 seconds. So only 0.4 seconds slower this model. So that's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion to get this hybrid. Now, there's also the Hybrid Max version. That's going to be a more powerful hybrid setup, 2.4 liter turbo 4 plus hybrid electric componentry, 362 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, and 0 to 60 on that is 6.3 seconds. So that's going to definitely be a big step up when it comes to power versus this. But really, all of the powertrain options are going to have unique benefits over the other.
Now the handoff between the electric power and the gasoline engine is very seamless. That being said, I have to mention that you can, of course, hear it. I'm sure it's picking up on the microphones right now. This is not going to be the most refined sounding option. I mean, overall, it's pretty smooth, like I was saying, but definitely the sound, I think, makes it seem a little bit more strained than it actually is.
Yeah, I wish they would kind of mute that a little bit more. We've complained about that on really all the Toyota products, so this is not specific to the Grand Highlander, that's for sure. I will point out, though, the Hybrid Max kind of pumps in like a fake sound into the cabin, which you might prefer. So if you want to check that out, we have reviewed that several times, so you can hop on over to that video as well. Now, we're on our designated strip of road to talk about ride quality, and that's an area that we've spent hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of miles driving Grand Highlanders, and we've been very, very impressed. That is to say the least. This vehicle is one of those products that you can just get behind the wheel and just go on a long road trip and arrive refreshed. The seats are incredibly comfortable. The suspension is tuned honestly really, really good. They have tuned it to soak up all of the largest road imperfections. Hardly anything makes it into the cabin, including these bridge abutments here. Does a really good job. And as you'll see a little bit later on, we'll discuss drive dynamics, but this Grand Highlander is not too sloppy on a back road either. Now, let's talk about fuel economy. I think that's a very important element and very crucial to anyone watching this video. So the fuel economy ranges from 24 on the low end with the gasoline option to all the way up to this one, which is a hybrid. Now, the hybrid front-wheel drive actually can get up to 36 miles per gallon, which blows everything else really out of the water in this segment. Now, if you choose all-wheel drive, that goes down to 34 mpg. Now, of course, we need to discuss pricing. So the Grand Highlander is going to start around $40,000 for the base model. You can see all the prices on the screen right now, but of course it elevates in price quite a lot. It can go all the way up to around $63,000, $64,000 for the fully loaded example. So what do you get here on the XLE when it comes to pricing? Well, we start at $47,780. This is the hybrid, by the way, the XLE hybrid all-wheel drive. And then we have the optional panoramic moonroof, a couple other accessories, $1,495 destination. All told, we're sitting at $51,278 as tested today. So that is a pretty, middle of the run Grand Highlander when it comes to pricing, and I think you get a decent amount of equipment here, although I will say that some of the rivals will give you more equipment for the money. Now, if you're looking to buy a Grand Highlander or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing any dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of all of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that down below at carconfections.com/newcarquotes. And guys, that's going to wrap up this first look review of the 2026 Toyota Grand Highlander XLE model. Now, if you enjoyed watching this, we'd really appreciate you subscribing down below. We've done a ton of Grand Highlander reviews that I promise you won't want to miss out on. And we also strive to cover all the trim levels on this channel, including the XLE and the lower price models, because not everyone wants a fully loaded example. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.